I was thinking, what are we gonna do? We cannot have this wedding. We need to cancel this wedding. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. This is actually going to be my very last video for 2021, and boy, do I have a video for you. Stay tuned because I have got probably my craziest story time yet. I'm going to be sharing the story of how my husband Rob and I got married in Germany over 11 years ago now, and it was a crazy sequence of events leading up to the wedding, the actual wedding, the wedding reception, and after the wedding. I don't know why I haven't shared the story with you before. I think there were just too many things that happened, too many crazy events to fit into one video, but I'm going to try and do it today because it's definitely a story worth telling. So for those of you who don't already know, I am a New Zealander who has been living for over 11 years in Germany. I'm married to a German-Polish guy and we have 3 beautiful children. Our love story is a pretty crazy one. We met in New Zealand. I do have a couple of videos that go into more detail on this topic where I share our whole love story. I will link them in my description below. But to cut a long story short, we decided to settle in Germany and we've been living here for, as I said, over 11 years now. We made a very rash decision back in 2010. We decided to get married because it was our only chance of staying together. There was no way that Rob could go back to New Zealand. He'd already used his 1-year working holiday visa and I was unable to stay for much longer in Germany, so we thought the easiest way would be to get married. We knew that we wanted to be together, so we thought, why not just get married? When we made the decision that we were going to get married, we thought, okay, we're just going to have a very simple, low-key civil union wedding with some close family and friends, and we'll go on a honeymoon after that. And that was enough for us. We were very content with that. I'm not one of these people who has dreamed about my wedding day since I was a little girl. I always knew I wanted to get married, but I didn't dream about my wedding day or anything like that. I dreamt more about the man I was going to marry and what my marriage was going to be like. But it wasn't important to me. I'm not a very materialistic person and neither is Rob. And so we thought, yeah, we're just going to do the civil union wedding. And so when we told Rob's parents that, his mum seemed a little bit disappointed because she, I guess, had always pictured this big wedding for her son. Rob's family are originally from Poland. They are a Catholic family. I'm also from a Catholic family. We both are not practicing Catholics, but Rob's mum really wanted us to have a church wedding. And we thought, no, we're not going to have a church wedding. It's going to be too complicated. And then we thought, okay, maybe we'll just have a church wedding. But then after a little bit of research, we realized that it's actually legally not possible to only have a church wedding. You need to be married in a civil union ceremony before and then have a church wedding. So we were like, no, we're not going to do the church wedding. It'll be fine. We'll just do the civil union wedding. But Rob's parents, they were disappointed, and his mum convinced us to have both. And so we thought, okay, we're gonna have both, it'll be fine, but we're just gonna keep it low key. When we decided to start planning the wedding, oh my goodness, I was completely out of my depth. I was in a new country. I had not been in Germany for very long. I hardly spoke any German, a few little phrases, but apart from that, I did not understand or speak German. Rob didn't know the last thing about how to organize a wedding. He was only 25 at the time, I was 26, and his parents, I could not talk to them. They spoke Polish at home with each other and German outside the home. They didn't speak English, and I couldn't communicate properly with his parents. And saying that, they always from the very beginning made me feel extremely welcome. They just embraced the whole situation, the fact that their son was marrying somebody they couldn't talk to from New Zealand across the other side of the world. They embraced it all. They were excited about it, and I was just thinking, how am I going to plan a wedding in a country where I don't speak the language? I don't know anything about anything in Germany and I have to plan a wedding. How is it going to work? Rob wasn't much help. He would have been very happy just to run off somewhere and elope, and to be quite honest, I would have been happy to do that as well. But part of me thought, okay, I think it would be quite nice to have a church wedding as well, and you know, do we really need both weddings? Oh, it's going to make Rob's mum really happy, maybe we should. Also, a reason why I was a little bit hesitant to actually have a proper kind of wedding is because I knew that not a lot of my family members were going to be able to come. It's really, really expensive to travel over to Germany, and I've got 4 siblings, and one of my brothers had a young family, and a couple of my brothers at the time were not in the position to be able to come over. One of my brothers had just started a new job, and I just couldn't expect them all to come over. My sister in New York said that she was able to come, which I was just so over the moon about. And my mum, of course, was going to come over, and my aunt, who is like a second mum to me. And no one else from my side of the family was able to come to the wedding just because of the cost of everything, and it was at short notice and that kind of things. And I was thinking there's going to be a lot of Rob's side of the family and friends and not a lot of mine, but oh well, you know, I'm not a complicated person. It is what it is. But it did turn out that one of my best childhood friends was living in London at the time, so she was able to come over for the wedding. She said she could come, and a good family friend was also living in London, and we invited her to come. But the rest of the guests that were going to be coming were from Rob's side. So by the time we had added my family and the few friends that were coming to the list, and Rob's friends and their partners and Rob's extended family in Poland, it turned out to be over 50 guests, and we were thinking that's too many, no, and Rob's mum was like, no, it'll be great, it'll be fine, don't worry, you know, I'll help organize everything, it'll be fine. And we were just like, okay, let's do it. So Rob and I actually found the perfect little venue for our wedding reception. I'm talking about the church wedding here, by the way. It was an Italian restaurant, and it had a wedding reception venue in a wine cellar. It was in a beautiful little wine village called Sommerhausen. Some of you may have heard of it. It's the most beautiful fairy tale village, not far from where we were living. And it was just a beautiful, romantic, intimate wedding reception venue, and we just fell in love with the place, and we decided to pick that for our wedding reception. We didn't have a lot of money to splash out on this wedding. Keep in mind, we did not even want a big wedding to start with. So we were very thankful that our parents helped out a little bit with paying for the venue and the food and that kind of thing. We were very, very grateful for that. And so we organised the venue and the food, and Rob's family, Rob's parents organised the drinks and that kind of thing. Rob's mum organised the flowers. We kind of decided together what sort of flowers we wanted for the wedding. I didn't even think we needed proper flowers for a wedding. I was happy to just go to a florist the morning of the wedding and pick out some flowers that weren't specifically for a wedding. But Rob's mum said, no way, we're getting proper wedding flowers. She had like a meeting with the florist and organised everything. The wedding dress, I had no idea what to do about the wedding dress. Back 11 years ago, there weren't a lot of like online boutiques or anything like that. There were just a few sort of bridal shops. Rob's mum actually recommended a little bridal boutique in the town where they lived, and I went along with Rob's mum. Keep in mind, we could not talk to each other. As much as we really liked each other and wanted to be able to communicate, we couldn't. I obviously didn't want Rob to see my wedding dress, so I went with his mum, and oh my goodness, I remember it being just it was just an awkward experience because the ladies in the bridal shop couldn't speak English, and my mother-in-law couldn't speak English, and I was trying on all these dresses, and they had totally different tastes to me, and they were bringing out all of these big frilly dresses with lace and all sorts of things, and I wanted something really simple, and I couldn't explain that, and it was just, I just wanted to get out of there. And I remember I kind of had in mind what I wanted for my dress, and I decided on just a dress that day because I honestly just wanted to get out of the shop as fast as I could. I felt really uncomfortable in the situation, and I made a really rash decision on a dress that at the time it was really nice, but it probably wasn't my dream wedding dress. And keep in mind that this was around 11 years ago, so when you look at the photos, of course fashion and style and all of that has changed. And I remember after choosing the dress, the shop assistant and Rob's mum were kind of putting pressure on me to choose shoes from this bridal shop and also underwear and all of that kind of stuff. I remember it being kind of awkward because I was there with Rob's mum and we were looking at this kind of lingerie, lacy underwear. It was like this sort of corsage type thing that went under the wedding dress, sort of almost like a, what do you call them? Like ones that kind of cinch you in. I can't remember the name of them, but yeah, and it was like kind of this booster bra and these stockings with a garter and whatever. And Rob's mum was really encouraging me to just go all out and get all of the lingerie and everything and the shoes, and I basically decided on just buying everything from that shop, as I said, just to kind of get out of there because I just wanted that part over with. I know, like, shopping for your wedding should be really, really exciting, but under these circumstances where I didn't really want a big wedding anyway, and I couldn't speak to anyone, it was just a little bit daunting. So anyway, it was a really nice bonding experience between myself and my mother-in-law, my future mother-in-law. And so there was so much that went involved in planning the wedding. There was, as I said, my mother-in-law took care of the flowers and the drink situation and everything. I decided to do a lot of things DIY, so I made these really beautiful invitations with lavender, like real dried lavender. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna go with sort of like a lavender purple theme. And so I remember Rob went shopping with his parents to get his tuxedo, like his suit for the wedding, and I think they went to Hugo Boss or something like that. And his mum and dad bought him this beautiful suit, which was really on trend at the time, back in 2010. And to go with the theme, he got this purple shirt. He would never wear that shirt now. I actually don't even know how his mum convinced him to get this sort of lilac purple shirt, but it was really nice actually, and it did sort of go together with the suit. But anyway, that's what he ended up with. So my mother-in-law basically took control of the decorations. I showed her some photos of what I wanted, the sort of look that I wanted, and she just went all out and went to all of these craft shops and all of these different shops and bought all of these beautiful decorations. And thank goodness my mother-in-law has amazing taste, and I was really happy with everything she organized, and it definitely took a lot of pressure off me. And so anyway, it was getting closer to the wedding, and I was thinking, how was it all going to come together? And I just didn't know how it was going to all work out. And my mum and my auntie arrived in Germany 2 weeks before our church wedding. And so I think it was a week before our church wedding, we had our civil union ceremony, which it was really beautiful. It was a very beautiful, intimate ceremony. We actually officially got married a week before our actual church wedding. My mum was there, my auntie, Rob's family, his immediate family, a couple of his friends. And so we got married, but we kind of pretended that that wasn't our real wedding because we were going to, you know, make the church wedding our main wedding. So it was just so wonderful having my mum there, and she was helping as much as she could with the organisation. She obviously didn't speak German or Polish, and my auntie was there, and it was just such a beautiful time leading up to the wedding. Also, I just wanted to add, we organised a photographer, and it ended up, we just went all out. And I remember my mother-in-law encouraging me to go and book an appointment at a hairdresser and go to a makeup artist, and I just said to her, no, I think I just want to do my own makeup and my own hair. I wanted to keep it very simple. I just was worried that it wasn't going to be my style, and I couldn't explain what I wanted and that kind of thing. My in-laws booked accommodation for all of our guests in different hotels around our area, and we had family members staying at Rob's parents' place, and my mother-in-law was organising all of that. I remember her getting her house all looking nice and cleaning and organising and decorating and that kind of thing, because she knew there were going to be a lot of guests coming. So this was 2 days before the actual church wedding. Everything was going really well, running really smoothly, but this is where it all went pear-shaped. So Rob and I decided that we were going to do a little bit of sightseeing with my mum and my auntie. That was the first time they had been to Germany, and with all of the wedding chaos going on, we realised that they hadn't seen a lot of our area. So we went and did a little bit of sightseeing and took them out around our area, and I remember we were driving and Rob said that he started to feel a little bit weak. He wasn't feeling very well, and I thought, oh, he's probably just a little bit stressed out because of all the wedding preparation. And then the next minute I looked at him and he was white as a ghost, and he said, I don't feel very well. And I remember my mum and my auntie were looking at him and they said, he looks terrible, we need to get home. And so I remember him driving home. He could barely get us there. He was looking so unwell. He was so white and almost turning like a shade of green. He just was not looking good. And I just remember him parking and just running into his parents' place, and we were kind of like left in the car park because he just got out of there so quickly. And when we came in to the house, he was vomiting his guts out. Like we heard him vomiting and he would not stop vomiting. And then I remember him just like collapsing on one of the beds in his parents' place and just not being able to talk. He was in so much pain. He had the most violent stomach cramps. He just was feeling absolutely just terrible, and then he just kept going back to the bathroom and vomiting, and you know, not just vomiting the other end as well. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we realized that he had food poisoning. We soon clicked that Rob had actually eaten some chicken that had been in the microwave. It had been left in the microwave, and it had probably been left in there for like 3 days or something, and we didn't realize it was in there. That definitely would have caused food poisoning. Thankfully none of us touched it except for Rob, but oh my goodness, I have never seen him so sick. He was vomiting his guts out for an entire day and an entire night. And so I was thinking, what are we gonna do? We cannot have this wedding. We need to cancel this wedding. We already had family members from Poland who were on their way to Germany. We had flights that had been already booked. Rob's uncle was flying in from Ireland. We had friends flying in from London. My sister was flying in from New York the next day. And we were just thinking, this is a disaster. The wedding's not gonna happen. Like, what are we gonna do? And so we were like, okay, I'm sure Rob went to the doctor during that time. It's all a bit of a blur, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure he went to the doctor. And yeah, he couldn't even talk. He literally could not even talk. And I remember the next morning waking up and thinking, okay, we're just gonna have to cancel the whole wedding. It's just not going to work. I was so worried about Rob, and everyone was worried about him. He woke up that morning and I remember him saying, I feel okay. And we were like, are you sure? Because he still wasn't looking very well. He was white as a ghost. He just was not looking well. It looked like he'd lost weight, but he said, honestly, I feel better. I'm feeling a lot better. And we were thinking, how can he get over such a violent bug overnight? But he had one whole day and one whole night where he was really sick, but he did start to get his colour back and he started like talking again normally, and he was like, no, we're not cancelling the wedding. I've got a whole day to recover. I am going to save this next part for another video because this has already gone on so long, so there's going to be a part 2. Brace yourself for the part 2. You may be thinking, okay, this is enough drama for a whole wedding. Enough is enough, but trust me, there is more to come. So guys, if you enjoyed the part 1 to my crazy wedding story, then please consider giving this video a big thumbs up. I would also love you to consider subscribing to my channel. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you really soon for part 2.